Hey, give me a second. Let me try to get this a little bit more aligned here. It's a bit of a delay, I just saw. I think we should be good. Hey, how's everyone? It is 3:52. My nose is itchy. Before I went live, my oven started talking to me. And what that sounds like, it's quiet now. I was wondering if it was going to go through to me recording. It sounds like there's like a fly stuck in something, where you can like hear it like buzzing around. But yeah, that's a fun thing they started doing since I moved back with the oven. It seems to have calmed down now. So I guess I'll be the one talking. So I went to the store. As you can imagine, that's always a fun time. Not as crazy as the last time, which is nice. I guess I should backtrack a little bit. So I was woken up today and I wasn't even sure if it actually happened or not, because I did eventually get up out of bed and then, walk through my house, and my gate's been a little bit ajar for the last couple of days. And I've just kind of been like, you know what? I'm going to leave it like this. And it seemed to be just about as open as I recall it being, maybe a little bit more, but wind factors in, whatever. So I was like, because I have very vivid dreams sometimes, or, they can really fuck with people's heads. And I was like, did I just imagine what happened? But twice, no, like, I'm pretty sure this is what happened. All I hear is like the loudest bangs of your life. Like, I'm sleeping. It's probably like 8 something in the morning. I've been getting up like at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, like 12 if I'm lucky. Okay. Like, so 8 in the morning, like I just went to bed like 3 hours ago. I'm not getting out of bed. And the last time I had a knock on the door, it was the police. So I was like, no, I'm not getting up for whatever's tomfoolery. Hours go by. And I was like, so during this duration of it happening the first time and it happening the second time, I think around with that one, maybe like 11 o'clock hour, I'm having a really hard time going back to sleep. I eventually get there, but now I'm fucked. It sets the premise of this tone I have today. And I literally was telling myself this before I went to the store. I'm like, look, I don't know what you're planning for the store today, because I always have something going on. I always have a plan or two. I'm like, but I am so fucking exhausted. Some of you might be familiar with D&D. Like, I have exhaustion today. Okay. And I'm like, it's so not fun to have that IRL. Like, I just feel so depleted. I'm getting microwaved right now. Cool. And the oven's kicking up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be loud enough for you to hear it, but what are we doing? But yeah, so I'm telling myself, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just so tired. I'm already over everything happening on this little planet of yours. But whatever happens at the store today, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do about it. And it's not like I'm aggressive. That's not what I meant. I'm just like, I'm just not dealing with your shit. So I'm like, you're not going to get a lot out of me. With the anticipation of, something, I open up my garage, prepare to hop in my car, when I see a trash can. It's trash day outside of my garage. And I'm like, now I know I didn't put my trash cans out because I don't really accumulate a lot of trash. So I don't have to necessarily do that every week. And so this week specifically, I was like, I don't really have a lot. Like, I'll just usher them out next week, or the gardeners sometimes do it themselves because they fill up all of the bins on the same day the trash is here. It all kind of works out. And my bins, by the way, are on the complete opposite end of the house, which is a very long shaped hallway premise. Like, it's not like premises. It's a very strange and unusual shaped structure, but like it's very much an expansion. And again, like my trash cans are very, very far away to my knowledge. I'm like, I don't think this is my trash. I don't think this is my trash can. So what happens is I'm looking at this thing. I open it up, right? I'm like, okay, maybe I can determine if it's mine, 517 to 520, if I look inside of it and I see contents that should, in theory, be what I was already in my trash, which I know is probably like maybe cat litter. I do trash in an interesting way. So if I accumulate so little, I just use like the produce bags, and that's typically what gets me by. This almost reminds me of like the security bags that we had to get like when we worked at Tilly's, because I had to see everything that was inside. What a weird throwback. But yeah, like so I'm like, maybe I'll see something. I open up this trash can parked right outside my garage. Not even, by the way, like on the street. No. It's up against my garage. Okay. First and foremost, here's the trash can, and there's a mannequin, by the way. Hey, BuzzFeed, you're gonna love this. There's blinds in here. Okay, and I'm like, what are you saying? And then I recalled literally not too long before I left, when I closed my gate because of the knocking, I literally decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to, because I'm expecting a package from Frame Rate, and I don't know how it's necessarily going to come. It'll probably fit in my mail slot now that I think about it. But I was leaving it open out of courtesy of the mail people who would probably drop off this package I'm expecting. But I was like, after this morning, I'm locking my gate. And that's when, like, literally I opened my front door and a bee is just like, bzz, like it's like touching my nose, and it stays on it for a second. And like, because it's so close and I didn't see it necessarily swoop in, I don't know what it is until my eyes like see it finally like kind of leave. And I'm like, that's a fucking bee. You know, like, what is it? What are we doing? But now, like, with the trash can having the blinds in it, bee lines, and the whole BuzzFeed thing, I'm like, come on. And so it's just scripted AI, Legoland, Xing human trafficking bullshit, world fuckery, as always, as fucking always. But yeah, I don't know where these blinds came from. I don't even know where the trash can came from. I don't know. I don't know whose trash can that is. I think what I'm going to have to do is put a Post-it on it and be like, this isn't my trash can. Like, I don't know where it's come from. I didn't steal it or anything. It just was here. And just hopefully the right house, if they're missing a trash can pick it up. Or I literally don't understand what happened. I'm a bit confused by it all, to be frank with you. But it reminded me, because the knocking was so loud, when I was at Redondo, I had a couple of times where like workers that were doing some type of plumbing beneath me didn't necessarily communicate they were doing work or how to properly like manage my house while they were doing it. So i.e., don't use the toilets, don't do this, don't do that. Like, and so they got really angry because I guess I pissed on them one day. Talk about a golden shower. I didn't flush the toilet though, because I was under the impression they were working. Again, they weren't really communicating with me, which is their fault. Like, hello. And it's like, I used the restroom. I didn't flush. And I guess that doesn't matter with a toilet. I guess it still goes through, even though it's just holding water. I don't get how that works, but yeah, the people who worked beneath me really fucking hated my guts. And I'm not even talking about the tenants. I'm talking about the people who were doing the plumbing. And we can get into a different type of pipeline a little bit later into my story of the store. Because I found an energy drink with symbolism on it. And I was like, I don't like that. Oh, and it actually goes back to the trash can too, because I'd shown you this picture, I think on my Discord. God, I've been posting so much, you guys, and it's like I'm so okay with doing that, but I am still under that restraint of I had that much space and now, it's only getting smaller and I'm getting a little bit like concerned about it. Like one day my laptop's gonna be like, no, you can't do jack shit, right? And it's like, oh, but I have to do my job though. Here, I'll just show you again if I can find it. So I had taken this picture and it wasn't intentional, but I did like the hang loose hand. So you can see like this is where like my trash can, well, it's recycling, but oh, it's right next to, oh, I'll show you the better picture of the spider since we're here. See? Little bugger. But yeah, we'll talk about the store in a second. They're so abusive. You know what I mean? Like they're so loud and they're so abusive. It's like, can you just let a girl live in her house, please? I don't like what kind of world is this where this is appropriate behavior and this is how you treat people? And I think honestly, like they're just kind of crazy. I think like they're special in a way. Because like the logic isn't logicking for me. How I put it is like most rational people don't go out of their way to get involved or closer to something that makes them uncomfortable or gets them agitated and irritated. These people, it's like a magnet. They have to fucking like get up and close and personal with everything that triggers them. And it's like, nobody does this. Nobody does that. Like, so I think they don't know how to control themselves. I think it's, unfortunately, they've been made to be like my oven, just like, what are you doing? So yeah, that's what I walked out to. I literally, again, back to the idea, I gave myself this pep talk. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen when I leave and try to go to the store. And then immediately I'm hit with a random trash can and blinds, beelines, whatever. It's like, cool. I even walked over to my trash cans just to make sure, with the idea that maybe my trash got like emptied. They moved it all the way over here and then wanted to put a message, right by my premises, like where I was going to leave. Because like this is where my trash cans are. I walked a little bit. I had to go like around. But it's like you can see all of them are there. It's a pretty shot too. It's just like, so yeah, I want to apologize to my neighbors if I happen to have your trash can. I don't know how this has happened, and no, I did not steal it. If I recall later, I will post it on it and just signify I don't know where this came from. This is not mine. Please take it if it is yours. So I'm going to try to be as clear as I can on my end, but God himself descended from the heavens is like, give her this trash can with a message. Like, okay, God, you had nothing better to do today. Nothing better to do. Don't you have like an RNC thing to be dealing with? Like, shouldn't you be watching your own shit show? You would think that if what they had going on was so compelling, they'd be like hyper focused on that. And yet they're still over here, states and states and states away, just being assholes. I don't get it. But yeah, so eventually after I wrap my mind around all of this, again, I'm exhausted. So I'm just like just trying my best to process it and like retain my serenity. I pull out and I'm about to make it so I can leave the park area. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, zoom, comes the mail truck. And I'm like, I've never seen it move with such speed in my life. And it's barreling down this road in which like there's cars parked on both sides. And it's like a 1-car lane at this point, like quite literally. And I'm so happy that they saw me. I mean, like, again, like they turned in so quick, and I was just like, they like I think they would have had enough time to stop. Like there was distance between us, but still, like seeing a car come at you and knowing there's nowhere for you to really go, it's a little bit unnerving. And then on top of like the symbology and all of that I just went through, I was like, and here comes more. And then mail truck pulls aside. I finally get to a place where I can get onto a main street. An orange Cooper goes by, and I'm like, yeah, of course, of course, of course. And it's just it's the AI speaking in tongues. It's trying to say things, and I'm like, what? You're an asshole. Yeah, we already knew that. You didn't have to go into it further. We already knew that. Um, you wish. You fucking wish. So let me see. I try to put down my notes again, just so I talked about the mail car, I talked about the trash. Oh, so do you remember how I brought up some, if you're on my Discord, like you would know, I brought up some lyrics that I wrote like years and years and years and years and years ago. Um, the knocking reminded me of another set of lyrics that I had. And I believe I remember this as I'm driving because I'm like, oh, not only did I get a knock this morning, I got a random phone call from a number. Let me see if I can. Oh, it says charity call. I don't even remember hearing this, by the way. I don't remember hearing that at all. But the lyrics go, let me see. Let me see if I can try to remember them. Oh God, they escape me. But I do remember specifically the line. I'm just trying to remember like the bigger scope of it. But it's like a call or a knock, tell me who could do it better or something to that effect. And it might be the song in which I talk about having hearses ready, but I'm not entirely sure. Sorry, I didn't think to try to like sit on it before I started the video. I just wanted to, because there's always so much to talk about, just kind of sit and go. Just get started. I guess it'll be one of those things that if I recall, I will type it out and then I'll post it later. Or I guess I probably maybe put it in like the YouTube bio, or I could just write like a comment. So I'll try to remember to do that. Moving on. So after the Orange Cooper, after I'm remembering this song that I wrote, I continue to make my way towards the store, obviously. And right as I'm about to get to the light where I can make my left and turn into the parking lot, like just as I'm approaching it, I see that there is a car with a license plate 9EAZ292. And that's interesting to me because I had recalled that I got a random phone call in the knock. And I was like, oh, 292, it's not in the right sequence, but a part of my phone number has those numbers together. And so I was like, and now you're giving me my phone number, pinning the tail on the donkey, making a further point that I do feel like I'm a bit of a target of whatever is happening. I also see beside me a man in his car, his windows rolled pretty much all the way up, except for like a little bit of the windows cracked, and his wrist is hanging out of it. And there's a wristwatch, and he's holding a cigarette. Now, this is interesting to me because I pointed out yesterday during the RNC, I didn't quite get the snapshot of it. But I was like, I don't like what they're saying and how they're focusing on like the watch, and at the grocery store, which I'm very familiar is a place that they love to fuck with me at. So I'm seeing the watch. As I'm approaching, I'm about to get into the parking lot of the store. And this guy's holding a cigarette, which I, mentioned is, what essentially killed my grandma. And then quite recently we had the whole ketchup incident, and then that ended up leading to Donald Trump getting shot. But I was like, I think I've shared my opinions on that. Hopefully everybody's kind of sat down for a minute and formulated their own, gathered their own either evidence or just talked amongst themselves, each other, and maybe, just taking an honest look at the situation and putting your own shit together as far as your assessments go. Or 12. But yeah, I was like, fuck me, right? I get into the parking lot, I park, and I park next to the cart rack, I guess is just what I'm going to call it. And it's a place I typically like to park. It's a little bit further from the front of the store. I don't mind walking, but also at the same time, it's just easier for me if when I'm done with the cart, I can just go, and it's like right where it needs to be, right? Like I don't have to go looking for a place to put it or walk back to the front. So I parked there, and right in front of me is a vehicle with, it's hard to see, a dream catcher. And I was like, I just brought these up. And how my grandpa, who, served in the Navy, is the one who gave it to me. And thinking to myself openly, speculating, I'm like, I wonder if he knew something, or if they worked through him. Can you hear that? Wolf Ovens, by the way, speaking of, Donald Trump wanting to be Rob, I guess him and Rob Kennedy had RFK is what they call him. I totally forgot his name was Robert, actually. It's I totally forgot his name was Robert. And then I guess they had a very weird and intimate phone call. Maybe it even happened today, but RFK leaked it. And I was like, oh shit. Go Rob. And Donald was just going off the crazy train. Oh, there's a helicopter. And talking about babies and how much they weighed, and how the vaccines were meant for horses. Which brings me to something completely random that I saw when I got home. Is it still up? It's not. I'll show you what is, though. I've been doing this new thing where I'll go to the side just to kind of glance at what Apple's telling me. It's almost like a different, very, very miniature form of the YouTube feed that I always refresh. And I'm like, what's going on? What do you want to tell me? Or how do you want to harass me today, honestly? But that's what's up right now. But I'll show you what I saw when I got home. How to capture study video, by the way. Oh, it's yellow and green. Interesting. Yellow and green, some of you might be familiar if you went to school in Burbank and went to John Muir Mustangs. So horses is the theme here. You ready for this? So I had a horse named Bob. Guess who was found guilty of corruption today? Senator Bob. Oh, and there's even an EZ, which goes to the license plate, the EAZ, that had part of my phone number. But yeah. And we all know how Donald Trump loves to call, women whores, especially ones who quite literally fuck him over. He's a misogynist. He honestly, Amber fucking Rose is such a fucking idiot. Just a betrayer of the truth completely, and her followers, totally misleading. You are not taking your position in social media seriously. If you have that many followers, you better fucking come with the facts, and you better not, lead people down a dark and nasty road. in which Donald Trump certainly will, and you're endorsing him. And I pointed out the whole slut walk, but also what really was disturbing to me about that was how Donald Trump was looking at her, and then her being somebody with like tattoos and, you know, the formal, like nice makeup and stuff, because I identify as somebody who does that in a way, in my own way. Like it's not like we look alike or anything. Although I will say that I did shave my head not too long ago, which is why it's short and always in my little bobby pins. But still, I was like, I already was getting like bad, weird, I think I'm being like singled out vibes after the assassination attempt. And then Amber Rose came to stage, and I'm like, I don't feel good about this. Like, even talking about it right now makes me like uncomfortable. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I know like this is way bigger than me, and this is about people voting, you know, this is a part of our democracy. And I'm like, but I still feel like I'm getting harassed in my own special way on a really big stage. And I think me as a victim of a lot of things, honestly, that have yet to be resolved or even acknowledged, if no one else is going to speak up for me, I can at least speak up for myself. And so I'm going to tell you how I feel about it. Amber Rose being on that stage made me very uncomfortable. And that's just how it is. But yeah, so I had a horse named Bob. Bob all of a sudden got all of these convictions. Funny to think, by the way, kind of going back to the Rust shooting and Alec Baldwin's case, how that was totally thrown out, even though he killed a woman. But Bob, fuck Bob, the horse guy, right? Which I guess he was doing some like shit with Egypt. And I'm going to pause right there. Because when I was at 304, they had like some type of Egyptian, they did a lot of stuff with me in my brain space, and it was really wonky, but they themselves brought up Egypt. Like I had a whole Egypt bit. And then I can go as far as to say, here, I'll just bring her over. I don't know why this is in my house. It was my grandma's. Hold on to your pants, gamers. I can hear him in the ceiling a little bit now too. Well, there goes her stand. Is this Cleopatra? I don't know who she's supposed to be. But yeah, she's just been in my living room for a really long time, like as long as I can remember. And yeah, it's like cool, interesting. I like symbolism, so the idea of hieroglyphs has always kind of been like, ooh. But like I have no association with Egypt, but I feel like they're trying to like get us there. There is an Elizabeth Taylor who played Cleopatra, I guess. My middle name's Elizabeth. Like where are we going? What the fuck? As I like to say, the logic isn't logicking. And they're trying really hard to project things. But yeah, the 304 bit. Oh, I hate the idea I have to look up your fucking skirt to get you on here. This is so sad. I'm sorry. I don't even want to. I don't want to stick this up your hoo-ha either. Are you wearing white shorts? Because I've been wearing white shorts. Hold on. Oh no. Okay. Well, kind of. She's got her bloomers on, but I've literally been wearing. What are we doing? Fucking Christ. Okay. I'm sorry. At least you're wearing pants, though. That's smart. You know what? Funny story. I do that too. When I go out, I'll typically wear like shorts beneath my shorts because I'm like, you're not getting my cheeks from me. I mean, you will at home, like when I'm home, because I'm like, it's my fucking house. But like, I try to understand the public space and being respectful. You know what I mean? Unlike some people. You're just gonna chill. She's just lying there. It's Good. That's a great omen. I don't want to stick the rod up her fucking ass. I don't want to. That's worse. That's like, you know, it's all terrible. Anyway, so yeah, so we have like this allusion to him, you know, just despising women who are strong and don't like him for obvious reasons. And he has a very special way of communicating that. So does everybody around him that orchestrates these crazy, wild things. As I like to say, Donald Trump is a part of a larger global, like, terrorist community. Like that, it's a fact. It is a fact. And so you have to start to understand that when things happen in the world, even if it's something you think is completely unrelated, like Bob Mendez, I think that's his last name. It's like, you know, maybe there's something more to it. It's not, things don't just happen here. Let's put it like that. That's like a really easy way to understand. Like, things don't just happen. Everything has to happen with a purpose or a signal, or, you know, it's part of a larger plot. Can you hear that? Why? It's dumb. I have the Sub-Zero guy coming tomorrow. You stopped now. I was gonna ask it if it was gonna stop when he's here. Reminds me when Charlie came by and he was like checking the lock for me. I would lock it, and I shit you not, he touches it and it's fine. And I'm like, that's not how the door works. Weird how it works for you and it doesn't work for me. We lock it again. And then he's like, oh, I guess it did actually like start giving him issues. And I'm like, see, you know, I think they try to give this false favor to their favorites or people who kind of give them the benefit of the doubt or support them. And I'm like, they will still fuck you over like the rest of us. That's what you have to wrap your fucking stupid heads around, is like, they will still fuck you over. And it doesn't even matter, by the way, if you do everything right across the spectrum from day 1 to day fucking 638. Why I said that number, I don't know. Somebody figure it out. Because they just don't care about human life. That's why I was like, JD Vance, can you pass the Wizard of Oz test? You know, do you have a heart? Do you have a brain? Do you have courage to stand up and fight for things, especially as a vice president potentially, and protect people, serve people, do that job? You're being asked to do that job. Can you do that job and not just be a placeholder who's just seeking power? You know? Are you human? Are you human? Because that's what we need. We need humanity. We need a person. We need people, you know, in positions of power and law and what have you, community, education, that understand the human condition and what it means to be here. Because it's hard. It's hard to be human here under these circumstances, and we don't even talk about them the right way. And so that just makes it even worse. That's a very toxic environment we ourselves as a community have now created, because we won't even acknowledge the issues. And so it's like, if you get like weird brain shit, you go to a psychiatrist and they give you pills, they tell you, you know, you're fucked up or whatever, and then they send you on your way, and now you feel bad about yourself and you think something's wrong with you. And it's like, I can tell you for a fact you're getting fucked with. Okay. Like, and like, to anybody who's ever experienced, even if you find yourself to be like a really well-off person, we'll say, they can still give you like really random extreme emotions. And if you're not familiar, because we're not talking about any of this with stuff like that, you might be compelled in a moment to do something that is very out of character. Now, spontaneity is totally and completely fair and fine. I'm not trying to dispel, you know, the range of possibilities in which everybody should experience of their own minds and volition. But here it's like you will be compelled. And you have to ask yourself, why am I being compelled? And do I agree with this enough to follow through? Or do I want to stop, wait, and just kind of sit on it or think for a second before, acting on this notion? A really good example of this, actually, and it sucks because I know a lot of people are in relationships, is you or your partner will be this is just a scenario, but I'm sure a lot of you are familiar. You'll have a dream where your partner's cheating on you and you'll wake up and you're like, it felt so real. And now you're really suspicious. Now, sometimes this pans out and there's reasons maybe why you're getting these inklings, right? But other times it starts to create a divide or a worry or an anxiety that just didn't have to exist. And what they can start doing with stuff like that is building on it. So where there was never a problem, they'll make one. And who has to deal with it at the end of the day? You do. And guess what? You probably have to deal with it alone. And so we don't have to be alone in this. Like, we can get through this, I think, better together than apart, but we do have to start having, some dialogue, right? Some honest to God, just open dialogue. And I don't see why we can't do that. 428. Anyway, back to my story. I park next to the carts. I look in front of me and I'm like, dream catcher. And at this point, I want to note, because I associated it with the Navy when I had mentioned it on my Discord, but because of everything else I had already gone through getting here, I'm like, oh, bad Navy? Like, either defectors who are more aligned with Donald in our own ranks, or, foreign, intelligence and operations happening on our floor. So I don't know, but I definitely thought to myself for a moment, I'm like, I don't know if that's our Navy. I don't know how I feel about that. But I look over to the cart rack because I'm thinking to myself, oh, I could just pick up a cart from here. There's like a couple in there. And so sometimes, I don't know if this happens at your local stores, but you'll get to like the front of the store, or typically a lot of them will be stacked. At our store, a lot of our carts get fucked with, I guess. They get like locked. And so like sometimes you'll be scrambling to find one and you have to go through like 2 or 3 before you finally get one. And by the time you do, there's like people waiting to also get their carts. And it's just kind of weird and awkward. And it's just like, I can negate this entire scenario by grabbing my cart before I even get to the front. And so sometimes I do that. Another thing that I also do, and I think it's just kind of like a good habit, but also it's kind in a way. It helps out people who work at the store, is if I see like a rogue cart in the parking lot that's like close enough to me that makes sense for me to approach as I'm approaching the store, I'll just grab that one and be like, all right, we're teaming up, we're going in together. You were on the sidelines anyway. I know all about that. So I will do that. And it's just, again, it just negates a whole awkward scenario that plays out over and over and over again. But I look over to the carts and I can't help but notice there is a yellow sticker. Now you see, I am wearing yellow today, gamers. I wasn't wearing yellow earlier. I legitimately put on a different shirt, buttoned it down, tucked it in my denim shorts, and was like, okay, I look like a cute little American girl today with my nice white top and my shorts, and I have my cowboy boots on. And, I was feeling good. I was feeling American. I was liking my fit. And then luckily for me, because I have this rule where if I put on my fragrance, I'm like, after the fragrance goes on, the shirt, nothing changes. The shorts are, the bottoms can change because that's not typically where I spray. But once the top is sprayed, it's like a sealed deal. I can literally only think of one time, and I don't know what happened, where I'd sprayed something and then I was like, no. But like, it's so rare. But I didn't spray myself. I looked at myself in the mirror and was like somewhere like around here. I don't know. There was just like a tiny like line. Oh, kind of like this. I woke up this morning. I don't even know what happened. I had like this cut. Oh, this kind of goes with the license plate I mentioned earlier, the EG. But yeah. E. Jean Carroll. Oh, that's totally it. I love when I have these discoveries like on my live, not that anybody's watching, but because you get to see how my process works and like because I don't know everything all at once, right? Like I have to talk my way through a lot of stuff and I have to work my way through things and I have to like gather intel and sometimes like later things will like occur to me and be like, "Oh, like for example, I didn't put together the blinds, BLIND with the B because B line until after I got home, for example. Like I already said that. But you know what I mean? Like so sometimes I have to sit on things or new waves of thoughts and feelings occur. But yeah, I'm in a yellow shirt. I'm matching Ray, which I thought was fun. Um, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lock on this motherfucker. And the first thing I thought to myself when I saw this on the cart was lock her up. And I'm like, oh my God, you just had to say more, didn't you? You just had to say something more. And so that's how I felt about that. And yes, it was just another trip to the store. Just another trip to the store. I want to say as well, though, that I ended up grabbing the sticker off the cart. I grabbed that cart in particular because I was drawn to it for a very specific reason. And this is what it says. It says security protected, and then it says some stuff in Spanish, which I don't read or talk Spanish, so I don't know. But I'm assuming it translates. But yeah, I know it says security protected 4212, but I really want to make it a point and be clear. When I first saw it, the first thing that came to mind was Hillary Clinton lock her up. So that was fun. I think, yeah. So I take this photo of the car. I get that. I take a picture of me because I'm like, I just want to prove the point. I'm also in yellow. And then I look down and right around where like my no P, I'll zoom in a second, but you see this? It says country fair, I believe, but it's the only yellow thing I can see in my car. And because I'm clocking all of this yellow, it draws my attention even more than it would have, which it typically doesn't because I have no reason to pay attention to anything in particular really ever, unless you give me a reason. But country, we had the horseplay with the Bob and now the E. Jean Carroll shit. The way this scratch looks, and I can't be certain, it almost like looks like maybe my cat did it. So if I can't confirm this, but if they did, then the idea of grabbing by the pussy would come into play. But this picture is interesting because you can kind of see like there's a Sharpie right here, Altoids, where I keep. I have this habit, and I developed it when I was young, and I don't do it as much anymore because I don't have cash on me a lot. But of putting my spare change in a empty Altoids box. It's a nice like little coin purse. I don't know. Oh, like a clam coin purse. Pussy. Okay. Yep, cool. Anyway, I wanted to take this opportunity too, though, where it says power outlet, show you my little pizza thing that I have in there. Also, you can see the red P on my park. Peter Parker. But yeah, that was fun. Let me check my notes again. while all of these photos are happening, by the way, because I'm still in my car, right? Except for the one where I showed you like what it says, because I took that after I got home, after I'd taken it off and put. I really, again, I am dealing with exhaustion today. A lot had already happened at this point. I wanted to get in the store, I wanted to buy my groceries, and I wanted to leave. So, I didn't take the picture of what it said and all of that until a little bit later. But I just wanted to know that Sweet was playing on 102.7, and I don't know. They do talk to me through radio, and they do find a way to troll me through, I mean, so many myriads and different streams of conscious. I go through so much on a day-to-day basis. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. Anyway, I just wanted to say that because I like the song, but I was like, I don't know if it's another troll, essentially. So I think you can see it on the radio, 438, by the way. $2.56. Oh, interesting point. So you say $2.56. Yeah, my dashboard says 4. But there's a 304. And there's an 87. And there's an 11 on the M. Like milli. Look at all the symbology. There's a 49 for 49 or 49 squared. 7 squared too. That's a lot. That's a lot of things lining up. A lot of you might be familiar with the Kobe shenanigans. Oh, I wonder if that's why I saw that helicopter right there. I saw another cop car today. If I remember, I'll tell you like when that happened. I guess not another cop car, because when I took that other video, it was of a helicopter, but you know, a police vehicle. There's a point where I wasn't going to take a photo. I'm inside the store at this point. And keeping in mind that I've been tracking a lot of yellows, I'm like going with my cart down the aisle. And I believe it's the aisle with I forgot what's on that one. Maybe like frozen vegetables and stuff. If you know my store, you'll know what I'm about to say. It'll make sense to you. It's the frozen food section aisle. That's one side frozen food and the other side like spices or whatever the fuck is on the other side. I think it's like spices and things. So I'm in that aisle, and which is really close to eggs. And I'm not going to take this photo. I'm going by, but I notice on the floor is this yellow sign, and quite noticeably, it's like torn in half. And I'm like, because I'm not thinking too much of it other than just yellow. But I see it's next to a box that says marshmallow or something. I'll show you the picture. And in that moment, I register that I had the whole like pill bit. And like, so from 304, Squishmallows are a thing. And I got that recent new Squishmallow in my car, the wolf with the, looking at my oven, with like the Subway sandwich. But yeah, I'm just like, oh God, you know, here they are again trying to like push the suicide or, you know, the whatever, or just the idea like they want me dead, honestly, is I think more so what I took of it. And so I'm not about to take the photo. This comes to mind. I decided to park my cart, and like something happens, and it's I don't quite remember how, but it gets awkward. You know how I mentioned like awkward like scenarios where like things are kind of like bumping in odd ways at the front of the store with the carts and people. There's a trafficking moment where it gets a little bit weird between me and a woman. And she notably has no basket and no cart, and she's holding a bunch of like shit in her hands. Not that I care, but I noticed this about her because it's a little bit odd to just see people walking around the store with like crap. So I'm just like, okay. But it happens in such a way where I want to park my cart and get this photo, but she's like right around me. And sometimes it's not that I care if people watch me take photos, but like it got really weird. So I'm by eggs and I'm like, okay, I guess what I'll do is park my cart like in this little corner, buy all of these frozen vegetables, 40 or 50, 16. I'm getting microwaved. Surely this woman who's already like got her hands full with everything isn't going, like nobody's going to be here. My cart's going to be out of the way. I'm going to just grab my eggs. I'm going to look through my eggs. And then once I get my eggs, put them in my cart, I myself will just walk a little bit further back. It's just like a foot or two and grab my photo in my angle. Sure as shit, I grab my eggs and there she is right next to my cart. When like I swear to God, I was so sure nobody was gonna be bothered by my cart there. And I apologized to her for being in her way. And she's kind about it and all, but I was like, it was just so weird. It was so fucking weird. And I'm sharing this with you because I think that they thought I wasn't gonna get the photo. And then when I was, they were like, oh, we should make it really awkward and maybe she'll rescind. Maybe she won't actually get it. Because like so many things are happening and it's just weird. But I don't think you know this about me. I'm a very determined person. If I want a photo, I'm gonna get my photo. So I got my photo. I got my eggs and I got my photo. But you see like these little marshmallows and this like broken sign. Oh, and there's a 7 on there too. Oh, look, pop cherries right next to cherries too. That's great symbology. That's great for me. But yeah, these little marshmallow guys. And then linking that to like my Squishmallows or my pillows, and then you know the 304 thing. That's what triggered me to be like, I need to capture this. I need to capture this actually, and I can't emphasize how common it is to have the store set up like this. In a way, like this is, you know, every time I go, it's something new, so to speak. But it's like every time I go to the fucking store, they have to be saying something through like the configuration of it. And it's such bullshit. It's such fucking bullshit. I'm getting microwaved again. 444 to 445. I watched that change. So now I'm clocking yellows in the store. I'm walking down a bigger aisle or lane at the end of the store. So I'm able to look down these rows or columns, however you want to think of it. And as I'm doing this, I see that there's like a yellow, like slippery cone thing in the distance. And I'm like, might as well get that in. And lo and behold, Dino. So we already had the pop cherry thing, which I didn't notice until I started doing this video and just showed you now. But Dino, I'll zoom in so you can see it. See there? And then I'm like, wait a minute. And diapers. We have dye on dye. It's like, oh, and that does play into the Princess Diana thing. I think I got hit today. It wasn't too close. I'll talk about it if I again remember to. But yeah, that would make sense why that happened. Cool. I found this like, I don't know, I was just getting yellow and stuff right by like Mission. There's like yellow on the bread. There's a sign. There's like Panda sauce, Panda Express sauce. There's random mayo. And when I think of mayo, shout out Max, I think of a streamer called or named a platypus because they had a whole like mayo bit. I would say look it up, but maybe don't. Watch him, like he's an entertaining guy, but like you don't need to watch Max in a bathtub full of mayo. But you know, Max, we've talked about how spelling that backwards is Sam, just with an X, which is actually interesting now that I think about it, because when I was looking at my hair today, I had put it down and was trying to like reconfigure it, and it's bobby pins. It's like so like weird to say, but bird flew by. It's like 2 here right now, and it's just like brown and like long and like almost like mullet-esque. And it reminded me of Sam Hunt when he was growing out his hair. And I literally like say this to myself when I'm in my bathroom, 45 to 48 at this point, and 9. And I'm looking at the length of it, and I'm like, I don't know why, but like this is just reminding me of Sam Hunt. And I guess, yeah, this again is one of those things where everything's tracking, as it always does. It keeps regurgitating and feeding in on itself. It's like the snake, right? It's just eating its own fucking shit. Or human centipede, I guess. Ew. But right after I took this photo, you can kind of even see it here. There's like a whole bread bin or like station. There's a random bag of bananas. So yellow, Dave's Killer organic bread with the bananas. I'm like, okay. Oh, and it's taken at 3:21. Literally, somebody told me to look at the time. I don't hear the voice. Sometimes it's just like this idea, right? So somebody gave me the idea to look at the time. So Danette's birthday is on the 12th of January, March. So yeah. And at 4:49. And that gets into the mole bit. Too. Really quickly, you'll see on my Discord I would show you, but it's not that big of a deal. Around like right when I got home, I hear one of the streamers Ray's playing with, and I don't know which one, so I apologize. But they're singing You've Got a Friend in Me. And that reminds me of Andy from Toy Story. And just this morning, I don't know what time I'd watched it. I'd watched the D&D game between Matt and this other woman who I'm not familiar with. She's blonde. And how you see his shirt, because he's wearing some type of, I don't even know what you call it, like a vest of a sort. It says like ANDE. And so Andy was already on my mind for that reason. But I knew a kid growing up who used to have like a very prominent facial mole. And one time I ran into him at Starbucks in Burbank by like the Chop Stop. And he approached me and he said hi. And like it was noticeably gone. Mole removal, right? Also Diane, right? So fun here. But so now like all of this is kind of coming together again. I already clocked it with Matt Mercer. And I'm thinking about a mole, and like not like a couple seconds later, a mole appears on the screen, like fucking Monty Mole. One of the people's playing Monty Mole. And I'm like, stop. Like, don't you ever get sick of yourselves? Like, really, this is what you do with your lives? Not like talking shit about the people playing the game necessarily, but it's like, what the fuck? Like, you could be doing anything at all. And this is how you choose to spend your time. That's incredible to me. That is incredible to me, that in a realm of possibilities, This is how you choose on a day-to-day basis to be involved. Is there nothing better to do here? And if your answer is no, Hannah, there's not. What I'm going to tell you is this is a colossal failure of a fucking planet. If there's nothing better to do here and it's all of your design and this is the only thing you can find that finds you peace of mind and entertainment, like, I feel like that says something. It says something. You know? Hit the hour mark. Hit the hour mark, huh? 4:52. So yeah. Oh, we need to wrap this up because I need to go feed my outdoor animals. I didn't feed my squirrels yet today. I haven't put out the kibble. There's a little bit of kibble. You just made me bite my tongue. It's been a minute since you made me do that. Left side. So back to the store. Still at this point, I'm just like clocking yellows. I'm just like, okay, I guess we're just gonna have to get all the yellow snaps in. So I randomly see this glove, and it's not the first time I've seen somebody leave like their hand glove on one of these little tiny freezers. And so that actually, I think, was what drew me in first. But when you look at this box, it says Life Cuisine. And so because we were getting all like the dyes and the death threats and like the idea of like the pill situation, to see something say Life Cuisine, I almost kind of got a little bit miffed because it goes back to this idea of how you're trying to make this seem is, oh, this is like a bigger training exercise and we're just like trying to get you like prepared. I'm like, no, I'm not buying that fucking bullshit. No, you don't get to write off everything you've done to me and be like, well, at least you learned something though. Which brings me back to like the Ron DeSantis saying shit like that and being like, well, at least the slaves learned how to, you know, some good skills or whatever the fuck he said. It's like, you can shut the fuck up. Okay. Speaking on behalf of anybody who's ever felt enslaved in one way or another, you can shut the fuck up, Ron DeSantis. It's like saying to a woman, and by the way, some states at this point with their abortion laws do, it's saying to a woman who got raped, well, at least you have now this blessing because they're pregnant and you're going to force them to give birth to a child. At least see, you're finally going to be a mother. It's like, you don't get to rationalize people's pain like that. Okay. That's no. It pisses me off. It pisses me the fuck off. So the Life Cuisine thing did not sit well with me. If you can't tell, which takes us to the Monster Wall. I was thinking of getting a beverage because not for today, but for tomorrow, I have the Sub-Zero technician coming in, Brad, not Pitt. But I do find that interesting play because my dog stuff. Oh, and B-Rad, the B, the BuzzFeed, the blinds. Ray. There's no I in Brad though. And you know what my hair is in? Like, it's hard to tell. I'd put it into like tiny braids and then try to like get it together before I bobby pinned it, which is something that I don't typically do. Just recently I started like they're microwaving me again. Today must be the day of like early onset menopause or some bullshit, whatever they want to say it is. Whatever the fuck they want to call it. Again, a reminder, they've been doing this to me since like when I was really young, like during specifically my periods. So stupid. They're so fucking retarded. I know people don't like that word, but I swear to God, like, dude, I'm not even talking about people with like learning disabilities. I'm not even talking about like, they are so, and they choose to be this way of a certain kind. And it's not to their benefit, and it always ends up hurting them more than helping. Like, their own behavior is a hindrance, and yet they'll lash out to everybody else and think that everybody else around them's the problem when everybody else is just trying to like get through their life. And so yeah, I call them the R word sometimes. At least I'm not Ron DeSantis trying to say slavery's chill. At least you learn something. 457. Oh, you got raped? At least the baby's on the way. So yeah, we did point out the yellow and green earlier on my phone, which is actually why I took this picture, and I didn't realize until afterwards. And remembering now my Redondo story of like the really loud knocks and stuff, when the guy was working on the pipes and things beneath me, by the way. Oh, can you see that? Pipeline, and then you get the shaka. And I was like, you son of a bitch. Oh, and I guess there's green there too, and yellow. Rio, by the way, is the name of a dog we used to have. So that's also interesting. I knew a guy from Tilly's. I did bring up Tilly's earlier, yes. I will mention him because I think he went to the Army. I haven't seen him. I haven't really seen anybody, to be honest. I said I don't really see anybody, and then you reminded me that I one time ran into Javier, who used to hang out with like my hardcore group way back in the day at the Ralph's grocery store where I usually shop. Javier is the name of the person who redid my unit for me at 304. So that's an interesting connection. But I used to work with a guy named Zach Rios, who I recall got into like a pretty nasty like motorcycle accident at some point when he was working with us. Yeah, I don't know. I think he went to the Army, but Rio, Rio, with him there's an additional S, but oh, are you targeting people? Are you targeting personnel? See, now I don't like that. Yeah, dog tags somebody's bringing to mind too. Dog tags are a thing in the Army. I don't know why it says add sticker and all that, but fast forward to me leaving the store, and I swear to God, gamers, I walk out that fucking front door and I look to my fucking right, and there is a white Cooper. I take a picture from further away because I just want to get to my car and like unload. I'll zoom in. But like right there. Literally like right by the front door. Oh, and then the black and white, I guess I should note too. Specifically because like I've been wearing like my black sports bra and then my white shorts. So it's interesting that that's the color of the Cooper you decided to put out there. What are you trying to say? It's like when I remembered the album cover I posted on Discord of an owl, because I have, oh, you're not really going to be able to see it too much. I have an owl tattoo. I have an owl tattoo, and I was like, through the eyes of a traitor. By the way, I am more American than like, you want to know why? Because I'm willing to fight for people and, you know, our freedoms, which we clearly don't actually have. Not even the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, because how the AI fucking works and how you know, give people inputs. Like, people aren't even people here, to be honest. And you don't talk to them about how they're really situated or orientated. I might have said that word wrong. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's just like, I care. You know, I care about these people. I care about people. And then there's fucking you freaks of nature who are just pretending, you know, to be politicians or whatever the fuck you are. And you're in on the bit, right? Like, you are all involved in the bit. What I like to call these individuals, you're microwaving me again, is Nazi camp counselors. Because maybe they learned from Nazi Germany that, you know, oh, we can't actually throw people in concentration camps and have it look like a concentration camp And when we abuse people or want to do experiments, we can't really have it look like that either. So they adopted a bigger model. This is my working theory of how to just do it in plain sight. And yeah, they just get to fuck around and toy with us all the time. And there's a lot of people who like know about all this shit, are in on it, are not as hindered as some of us, and literally profit because they know who to associate with or where to go to work, or they have like a predestined plan that's in place that they're aware of. And they're just mum. They're quiet about the whole scenario for everybody else. And so, yeah, I call them Nazi camp counselors because they just want to keep this happy show on the road and they don't want to talk about the real issues. They just want to talk about the news appropriate, whatever the fake news, decides to pump through the world, which, by the way, like the false flag I mentioned situation, it's like, it's not that it's fake to everybody, okay? Like, there's real people that get hurt, and there's real people that die, and there's real people that are going to have trauma, which they might harness and hold on to for the rest of their lives. Like, it's real for them, okay? But yeah, the Nazi camp counselors are very aware of these types of things, and I don't fuck with them. I don't like them. 503. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, and so I put my cart away, and then a different cart that was there when I first got mine is still there, and I realized it has a napkin in it, and so I just took a picture. You can kind of see. And I'm doing this. I take the napkin shot because I didn't initially. I was more so drawn to the yellow because the whole like John Sandman, or like putting people to sleep, putting them down, and we had the Aurora bit, right? So with all of that, I was like, oh, I should probably also snap the napkin. But it was there again, like it was there in the beginning. I just more so color coded, and then I thought more on it, and I was like, let's expand beyond that which seems obvious, shall we? Okay, so we're done with the photos. So now we can go to lake. Right before you get to like the bridge in which you have to go kind of under to get to the store, there's a street called Lake, and it's by the Arco with Hannah the hula girl. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. And it's crazy to think all of this is like out in the open and people just like allow it to happen. You guys are awful. But yeah, I get to Lake and I hit a red light and I'm at the front. And no sweat off my back. I don't care. I'm relaxed. I put my hands up like this, okay? Which is why I took the thumbnail that I did. And I'm sitting there and the light turns green, as well as a green arrow for my side. I'm beginning to go out of nowhere. I swear, because I didn't see it. I don't know how this happened. A vehicle, I want to say it was like a gray silver sedan, right in front of us, like in front of like the front lane. And it zooms by so fast. And it's like, if I honestly think, because I have a bit of like what we call like a lead foot, right? So I'm speedy, I'm quick, I drive fast. If I were to have accelerated with my typical speed, granted I had eggs in the car, so maybe not, that might have been a part of a calculation. If I wasn't like this and just like chilling and then like had an extra second of lull before being like, okay, I could have gotten into an accident today. And I don't think that would have been a fun one for me. I think with the rate of speed and it just like was zooming by, and essentially it would have T-boned me. It very much reminds me of like what happened. I always call it the Russian restaurant, or Kalinka, off Victory and like near Western. And so that's why I pointed out like the Diana thing with the diapers, because I was like, oh, and I almost got into a car accident today too. This son of a bitch and this son of a bitch is, they have a license plate, and license plates have a way of speaking sometimes. And I can't take a picture. Like, this is all happening so fast, it's fluid. But I remembered it. AUCY 357. So take that for what you will. But I want to also bring up the idea of Lake being on Lake Street, because Carrie, not Lake, not Underwood, Carrie Fisher comes to mind now because of what happened to her on the plane when I was quite literally at Star Wars, or not Star Wars, what are they, Lucasfilms, touring in San Francisco. She had her heart attack or whatever on the plane. If you go a couple videos back, what does it say? Skunk planes, because it's a play on Lockheed Martin, where my great grandpa used to work, because I always think that's so cool that he worked on the Blackbird. But it was like, yeah. Oh, and then before, speaking of this medical emergency that has to do, I believe, with her heart, I want to say when I was, as I mentioned, there's like a freeway and you have to go under. So when I was coming back before I hit Lake, I was at a vantage where I saw to the freeway, Heartland on a semi truck drives by. I recall that as well. Oh yeah, I wrote it. I didn't really read it. Oh, and then before this even happened, the 8UCY whatever, as I'm sitting, I don't know if I'd put my hands up at this point, but as I'm sitting at this light, Garcia goes by, and I think to myself, oh, how interesting, because like, you know, CIA, GARCIA, but also my banner, now that I think about it, you know how like ragtime, Raggedy Ann, the rag being another, is euphemism the right word? Like for periods? Like that's what's in my banner, is Ragnarok. I'm wearing my ring today, by the way. So yeah, it was just a lot. The CIA kind of going back, I guess, to the idea of like how I felt when I was getting like the Navy Connect or the Dreamcatcher. I'm like, good CIA or bad CIA, or just an entity pretending to be CIA, right? Like all of these things. It's just, I feel like sometimes these people pretend they're Americans, but they're really not. Fast forward now to when I'm at Alameda, and I believe this is where it happens. Alameda and Victory, and I'm trying to make a left onto Victory so I can, you know, get on my way home. I think there's like a lot more traffic for some reason that I'm used to seeing like for an earlier time of day. So I think traffic's getting a little bit awkward and like mucked up. I want to say I wasn't even able to turn until, you're microwaving me again. I wasn't able to turn onto Victory until like the light was like turning yellow. But I noticed that right as I was about to turn, the other vehicle that was turning the opposite direction, obviously, was a police car. It was a police SUV. And I just wanted to add that because I thought, you know, the black and white plays, we pointed out the Cooper, but also several other entities where it's like, I don't know how to really feel about you, actually. So yeah, that all happened. And then I think I get home 1:19, by the way, a couple of seconds. Can I say something? Not that this is like a part of the story. I'm having a hard time clocking seconds today, because I'll look over and then like I'm not able to like register what I'm looking at. You know what? This is probably because I'm so tired because I'm carrying that level of D&D. You're microwaving me again. Exhaustion 35 though. It really affects people. Like I seriously sat down and I had that idea. I'm like, I have this, you know, trait that stems from gameplay. Like that's how I understand it. And I'm like, this sucks. Bro, this sucks. But yeah, like I 55, 56, and 12. Yeah, that's all I really have. I just wanted to get that all out there. Thought it was interesting enough to share. And as you can see, you know, for the most part, every time I have something to say, it's about an hour plus. Like, so I hope you guys like longer format videos. I hope you have been enjoying my little YouTube era. I don't know how long it's gonna keep going, but it's so nice to be able to create something and then just upload it because it doesn't affect my laptop's memory, and that's like my biggest concern right now. So I do want to thank YouTube actually for giving me that feature and ability. That's super cool of you. But otherwise, yeah, that's about it. I have to figure out what to do with this lady now. Jesus Christ. I think she might be made of glass or porcelain. Is she made out of porcelain? We don't look anything alike. Going back to this idea of Elizabeth Taylor. But yeah, I was gonna say bye. Her arms don't move. She's not a Barbie doll. And I'm going to now go feed my. Wash your head. My outdoor critters. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. I will catch you 13 to 14 some other time. Bye.